A disciple, someone who follows another person or another way of life, and who submits himself to the what? Discipline or teaching of that leader or that way. Do you guys, when I say the way, this is just something that popped in my head, the way. Do you know in the book of Acts, they refer to Christianity as the way? Those who followed the way? They hadn't quite put that together, but that's what and that's who Paul was running around trying to kill, people who were in the what? The way. Well, guys, it's time for us to get in the way. It's time for us to get in the way of a lost and sin-sick society that's stealing our kids. Let me take a little pause here. Y'all ever heard of the new Jim Crow? The book? And the response of what the new Jim Crow represents? The new Jim Crow looks a little bit like this. You my boy, right? Yeah. I know you got millions of dollars. Hey, you want to make some money? Yeah. Go and start a prison, and we're going to send you money down from Washington to house a whole bunch of these minority young folk. Hello? And we're gonna feed you. We're gonna feed you to the tune of probably $300,000, $500,000 a year to take care of that one little black boy that's been off the street. And we're gonna fill your prison up with him. Man, you know how much money you can make? And we're gonna start at 4 years old, because we're gonna go into the school system and we're gonna see who's failing at 4 years old. And we recognize, but by their rate, their failure rates, those young boys are gonna be in prison by the time they're 16. And they're going to stay there in and out for the rest of their lives. And we're going to give you $500,000 a year to take care of them. Well, I tell you what, why don't you give us $150,000 a year to educate them? This is real. This is real. I loved what this gentleman was talking about this morning. He was talking about the athletes and these kind of things, but you know what? Only 1.6% of all college athletes even make the pros. And when they make it, they only stay 3 years, and the average within 3 years only makes about $250,000 in 3 years. What is $250,000 going to do in 3 years? You got the rest of your life, and you done tore your body up. I used to be mad at how much those guys got paid. Right now, pay them as much as you can. Yeah, I'm going to hold out. A disciple, a student or follower of Jesus Christ, who is submitted and committed. Submitted and committed to the instruction and orientation of his teachings. We're going to talk about this in a minute. And some of you are going to be offended, and I hope so. Matthew 16, 24 to 25, because it offended me when the Lord began to deal with me on this whole process. Not only did it offend me, it made me understand, man, you need to quit playing. Jesus said to the disciples, if anyone desires to come after me, let him what? Deny himself. Take up his cross. Whose cross? Take up his cross. My cross don't look like your cross. And follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Gentlemen, in order to be a disciple, you're going to have to learn how to put responsibility before pleasure. I wanted to lay that groundwork on mentorship and discipleship so you can understand the difference and also who you are. The theme is becoming an Ironman. So tell me, what is an Ironman? And I sat and I processed this, and I thought, you know what? When iron sharpens iron, well, we all want to be Ironman. You know, iron sharpens iron. And so I thought about the ore that comes out of the ground. I said, but that's not what they're trying to say. What are we talking about when we use the term Ironman? Everybody want to be hard. But that's not what we're talking about. Because Jesus talks about being meek. And we're talking about being Iron Man? That's talking about being hard. But it's something other than that. So the Lord, a couple of days, I said, Lord, help me, give me something that's going to help me share with these brothers what I believe an Ironman is. And so the Lord gave me this acronym. I'm an acronym guy. CHIP. C-H-I-P. Don't miss this, because I'm going to be back in a little bit. So the characteristics of an Ironman. Proverbs 27:17 is our text group. We've already read that. 4 things that the Lord gave me. CHIP. Character. Character is your moral and ethical code. We're going to talk about this because I struggled with this. Matter of fact, this had me in tears, Pastor Lewis. Character, your moral and ethical code. Oftentimes, people say, you know what character is? Character is who you are when nobody's watching. Character is who you are when nobody's watching. You know what? When, as the brother said this morning, lights, camera, action. When people are looking at you, it's easy to have good character because people are watching you. But what happens when the lights go off? When you just, well, anyway. H, what's that? Holiness. Holiness. Now watch this. I could not believe, early in my Christian journey, I could not believe that I'm in church and people are walking like, you think you so holy. Anybody ever experienced that? How about this phrase? Who do you think you are, holier than thou? Oh, watch this. I ain't trying to be like them holiness people. I ain't doing all that. That ain't me. And so all of a sudden, church folk have taken holiness and made it a bad thing. Is that crazy or what? But at that time, I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know enough about what I was supposed to be doing to be able to push back. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So holiness, and simply means set apart from the world for kingdom living. That's all holiness means. That's all it means. I don't care how many times you run around the church. You run out the door and act a fool, what good is it? Let me move on. I, integrity. Integrity. Integrity means that you live according to that code of moral and ethical behavior. We're going to go in. I just wanted to lay the groundwork. P is for purpose. What is purpose? The original intent in the mind of God that motivated him, meaning God, to create you. My wife and I just came off of a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas. Man, it was good. We were on Carnival cruise lines. Anybody ever been on Carnival? You know it's a party ship. After about 2 or 3 days, and I had skipped by some of the stuff I didn't want to do and did some of the things I did want to do, I was pretty much tired of that. So the Lord allowed me to sit on the balcony and experience him fresh again. Whoo, what a time. But we were coming back to the ship. We were in Nassau. And when we walked up to the port, there were 3 of these huge cruise liners up there. And and it just struck me. There was the one we were on when I left, but 2 more had arrived by the time we got back. And they were all these big, massive cruise liners. And what occurred to me, I looked at my wife and I said, look at each one of those. I said, do you realize that those ships were built and completed before they even laid one weld? Before they ran any wire, before they plugged in any light bulb, those ships were already complete. Because the engineers and designers, the shipbuilders, had a blueprint. That blueprint was done. They saw the end from the beginning. Isaiah 44:6. God says, I saw your end at the beginning. He shaped you. He framed you. Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you to give you hope and a future. Are y'all hearing me? This is about purpose. God has already set it up. Now, along that journey, I noticed some welds didn't go right and they had to go back and fix them. I know that. Along that journey, they may have strung a wire to a light bulb and it shorted out. But they had a blueprint to go back. They had to get back on track. And before you know it, the ship was done and it was for folk to enjoy. God has fashioned your life before you even started your life. You need to know that. You have a purpose on this place. And it might very well be to raise some folk up. Oh, I'm a Christian. Jesus said, go and make disciples. Whether all of you are in ministry. You may not be the pastor. Everybody don't need to be the pastor. And sometimes you pastor to figure out, maybe I don't need to be the pastor. And when you figure that out, if you can't have the unction to say, this is not for me, let somebody raise these people because they make me sick and I'm doing more fussing than I am preaching, it's time to step away. Everybody can't run sheep. So don't get twisted on what your calling is, but your calling is not always pulpit ministry, but I promise you, you have a ministry in you. Amen? And